Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest podcast on planet Earth, bar none, zero, second to none. You know how Beyonce says it. Top two, and we ain't number two.
Hey, no
That's
cap.
it. No cap, no,
No
cap,
cap,
no
no
cap.
cap.
You already know what it is. It's the Uncover podcast with Nick and Femi. It's
Yes,
your boy
sir.
Femi here.
Hey, what's good? It's your boy Nick. What's been happening, G?
I've been chilling, man. Blessed. So we're right now in this a very beautiful space. But the reason why you're like, "Fuck, why aren't we screaming?" Oh, sorry. Let's cut that out.
Let's cut
'cause
that anyway.
We've been getting some comments that the N word isn't always appropriate.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, so I don't know.
I guess
like we'll try our best anyway, but like
fuck you. Like, no, I'm kidding. But like,
Yeah.
look, this is. Yeah, we'll try our best to be a bit more sensitive to other people and all that kind of stuff.
Why
so,
you keep saying weed? I didn't say the N word.
Okay.
I didn't say the N word in my podcast, but you
Okay.
know me, but I respect the people.
Okay, cool. You know what,
Yeah.
Nick? Let's have an episode of Nick. How Nick says that he doesn't do the N word or he doesn't swear.
Mm.
Nick
I didn't say I didn't swear.
Nick thinks he doesn't swear.
I don't think I said that. Oh my gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
I love how you do it. Let's add to it. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
I
shit, let me
need
add
to
to it to make you
make it
more like a
more
dickhead.
robust.
Make you more like a dickhead.
More robust. That's how it goes.
Here we go.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Uncover podcast, man. It's your boy. I've been really good, bro. Thanks for asking.
Wow, it took a long way to answer that simple question. But
I already said I was good.
no, that's good, bro. That's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know me. I'm feeling well. I'm blessed, bro. Another day.
Yeah, but like I was saying before I got interrupted by this guy, I just remembered.
Interrupted.
Yeah, because I was actually explaining why we're not yelling. Is because
Oh, okay.
we're in a very we're in like a startup hub right now.
Damn,
not
you
the
blew our
hub.
cover.
Oh,
You told them in the previous episode this was our house.
spoiler, I bought it. So
Oh,
I
but
live
that
here.
was, damn, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because at the time when we first recorded the first episode, it was still in contract
Yeah.
at the moment, but now we actually settled yesterday, which is crazy.
It's crazy. And then we sold it to this startup thing.
Yeah, it's a startup, but I won't say.
We won't say who it is or whatever, wherever it
I
is.
was about to. I almost blew it.
Yeah, I was blew it.
I was
It's
blew
not
it.
what
That
you think
NDA.
either. You have it?
That NDA.
So yeah.
Boom.
But basically, we got to be a little bit quiet on this. Not really quiet, but
Not really
less,
quiet, just
less
about like
yelling.
less yelling. That's a better way to say it. So it's gonna be more soothing in your ears. So you're gonna be like,
I know
I
you
drive
ladies
where I
like
feel
that one.
good. Exactly.
Smooth.
It's a feel good
FM.
vibe.
to
Boom,
me,
man. So
bro.
talk to me, but what are we talking about today anyway?
We're talking about something that like we always get asked to talk about a lot, and we always feel like we talk about it, but we don't actually like address it as a topic.
Yeah.
Men's mental health.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that one. I think that's a really good one because like I think like back in the days, like everyone used to say, like, you know, men always perceive themselves to be like this and to be like that, which we'll delve into as we have a bit more of a conversation.
Yes.
But we're really involving men. I feel like we're trying to anyway.
Yeah, I
We're
think that
trying
we
to a
are. I
lot.
think that we've got a lot of our perspective on it, and I want this conversation to be very, very opinion based,
Oh, you wanna-
and kind of like you give your opinion on the topic,
Yeah.
and then we can come in and have some more of tangibles and action steps or whatever it might be later on. But I think that this would be an awesome thing to be able to give your perspective and my perspective on the topics that we're gonna have at hand.
Awesome. All right, boom. Well, look, kick us off, man. So,
Well, look,
men's mental health.
I want to ask you, bro, what do you think the difference is between men's mental health and women's mental health, and why is it there been such a push with men's mental health in particular?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question, man. I feel like the big difference between men and women is that obviously that like people always say that women tend to kind of express themselves a lot more than men tend to.
Sure.
I guess it's always been seen, even if you look back in the times where it's like women would always be the ones that, you know, more emotional, more vulnerable, have the friends, they have that chat, when men were always like the hard workers. They were like the HKs. They're like, yeah, nah, nothing bothers me, bro. You know me, I'm straight HK staunch, bro. You can't faze me. You come to me.
Train hard, my brother, and stay
You
staunch. That's it.
That's it. You know what I mean? And I think that's just manifested for so long that like we tend to forget that, you know, men just like women have emotions as well, and they tend to bottle it in so much. And I think that's the biggest difference, right? And it's because as men we don't really feel the need to talk about it a lot, or we don't really feel like to express it. Maybe that's because we feel like it's going to make us weak or define us in some way. I'm not too sure exactly. We didn't talk about it, and then we bottled it in, and you see that like even with men's suicide rates, like they're increasing, they're booming. And it's like, why is that actually happening? It's because we haven't really had that conversation as men to be able to show that, you know, being vulnerable is okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, I'm not doing okay, and actually having that conversation with your boys. And I think that's the biggest reason. I think society's kind of placed it on men that it's like, if we become vulnerable or we show our emotions, then it's a sign of weakness.
Sure. And I think that we definitely are having the conversation. I think the conversation has been had, but I still don't think that it's at the level where people feel comfortable to be able to action it and action those steps.
What do you mean?
So I feel like, yeah.
Like, you mean the conversation's not effective, or it's just like...
I feel like people know. I feel like if you ask any guy,
Yeah.
and you said, like, everyone knows the answer is like, yeah, like, I should be more emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's okay to cry.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone knows that conversation's been had.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I think that it's not at the level where people feel that there's actually an acceptance of it to action it, or there's never been that kind of like society-wide acceptance of it, which I think is quite different and quite interesting, because everybody talks about it, but we still condemn people when they do show their emotions or they do show quote unquote weakness, right?
Yeah.
And we do end up like really, really feeling extra sorry for them, as opposed to women, which is not actually conducive to what we want. Or conducive to the end goal. Sorry. So I think it's a very interesting thing from a society point of view as to why that happens. I'd really love to pick your brain about it, young knees.
Yeah, pick my brain on it, bro. You know what? Like I'd love to kind of share what my perspective is on it, because even with men's health, like, it's been something that it was foreign to me for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really, I mean, look, I didn't really care about portraying myself as being some strong, staunch guy. Like, that was really never my kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was like, for me to actually to have the conversation properly, to be like, you know what, I'm not okay. I think there's a big difference, right, between having a conversation, but also having a conversation with the pure intention and goal to actually resolve it. Because I feel like, and what I mean by that is that, like, for example, sometimes you and I can have conversations, right? And it's like, sometimes in my head, back in the days, I just have the conversation for the sake of having the conversation and moving on, but not really trying to actually get an answer or really try to resolve it. And I think that's the big thing, right, is that some people feel like we just need to have the conversation to say we've had the conversation and now it's done.
Exactly.
See you later, move on. We've discussed about it. But it's like, you need to really be active in your mind about, like, how can I actually improve this? You know what I mean? How can I actually get there? Just like the same way some people get hungry about, you know, getting money so they can, like, support their kids. They have that really drive and eagerness to be like, well, how can I do this? Same thing, you got to be applying that same kind of mentality when it comes to fixing what's going on with your men's health. And I think that's a really big one. I think that's a really, really big one, because until we can actually start doing that and really feeling like that, then having the conversation is pointless. It's not going to really do anything.
Yeah, a conversation. Yeah. The thing about it is that, like, a conversation is completely ineffective if no action is actually taken.
Exactly.
So I think that what we need to, it's just, what I want to do is I want to, first of all, can you move, please, mate? All this space in this big room. The bloke wants to put his space.
But you actually got all the space, and I'm here in the corner, but chill. Yeah,
okay.
You knew that. Yeah. But yeah, what do you want to do? How you want to start it first, actually?
We've already started. I just want to I want to delve into something, though.
Yeah.
I want to delve into really, like, I want to make a point.
Go on. My
point is that if you're listening to this, if you're a man or a woman or whatever it is, this is going to be really, really game changing. And I really do believe this, because we're going to give you some real insight into the perspective of men. Yeah. And give you some real insights on how to help men. Yeah. Because there's not a lot of that coming out. And so I really want this to be really open and honest and vulnerable, which I'm sure that it will be. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So I guess I'll start it off, because you're probably wondering, okay, cool, start. So I can see it in your eyes. No, so basically what I want to say is, look, I want to ask you a question. When you go through tough times and you go through the hardest moments, what stops you from reaching out for help? Because there's obviously been times in your life where, you know, you might have been financially fucked, you might have been emotionally distressed, you might have had a fight with your missus or this or that or whatever, and you haven't actually like gone to seek help. I want to ask you, what stopped you? What stops you from doing that? Yeah. What's your thought process?
Yeah, I think that's two things that kind of stop me. The first one is it's obviously the perception, right? And I think, let me delve into that a little bit more, because you can just say perception, but I want to really kind of talk about where that kind of stems from. Yeah. And what I mean by perception, right, like in my life, let's say 4 years ago, as a young guy, I was doing quite well. You know, I was quite set up to be what you would say, quote unquote, successful, right? As in, like, you know, young guy, had a decent job, making good money, you know, spending money. Doesn't bother. I can support all the boys. I can do this, right? You know, spending like $4,000 on Airbnbs for my 21st. You know, like it was all
solo. We all chipped in.
Oh, it wasn't all.
Oh.
No, joking. But yeah. but you know what I mean, right? It's like you've come from such a
Most of us did.
most of us. But you come from like an upbringing where everyone, your friends and everyone that are close to you already see you as this type of person. Is like, wow, this guy's gonna be so cool, or he's gonna be so great, or he's doing so well for himself.
Sure.
You're so proud, and then suddenly to get to a point where it's like, oh, I'm not that anymore. I'm fucked.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's hard. It's like, bro, like, how can I come and have a chat with you and tell you that, bro, like I had all this going on and now I'm fucked.
Now I'm in fucking $15,000 debt.
Exactly. And it's just like, how do you have that conversation without, because I feel like for me, like what would stop me is that I don't want people to kind of have that sympathy for me, to feel like,
Yes.
oh man, like that must be tough. Because like, it's all well and good and stuff, but it's like, if it would mean that I'd need to give you a full thorough story on what the past 3 or 4 years were looking like. And sometimes I don't want to delve that deep.
Sure.
But the issue is that if you don't delve that deep, then you can't actually address the issue, what's going on. Because the issue is always deep and rooted in. So I think that's the first thing that always stops me, is that perception and what people would have. And also from the context of what I was like previously to what I am now. Now I'm fucked. You know what I mean? It's like same as if I was someone that was always perceived to be like a strong athlete that was always so supportive of everyone. And then it's like, oh, you got your own kind of mental health issues. It's like, fuck, like, for all the people that you helped and supported, that perception is like, bro, like, why didn't we have this conversation with you? Why did you always perceive yourself to be such a strong person that's sympathetic, had such great emotional intelligence, and now becoming this guy that's actually fucked? Does that make sense? Do you get what I mean by that?
I get exactly what you mean. I think that maybe language is a little bit important in this episode.
Yeah.
When we've never been one to hold back, but like this episode is a little, if we're not talking about ourselves, I think it's important to like have that kind of consideration.
Yeah,
but
sure,
yeah,
we can cut it for some like maybe like a bit of it. I'll tell you when. But yeah,
no, 100%. I agree with you. I think that it's really like we're living in a society where the way that you're perceived is so important.
Yeah.
And it's not even just in your head. Like, it actually is important for your life, unfortunately. Because it's something that's like, look, if someone looks at you, just the reality of the world is that if someone looks at you that you're mentally not okay, or people start to believe that you're not actually capable of the roles that you have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they start to think that maybe you're not capable to be a partner, you're not capable to be a husband, you're not capable to be a provider, to be all of those things that you see yourself as. And you start to really go on to this battle. You battle within yourself because you know that in fact that there's a little bit of truth to it in the society. So you're scared to open up. You're scared to be real about it. So there's 2 points I want to mention. Is like first of all, this whole mental health thing is such a team sport. Like, us as a society, men's health is not going to get better until women get involved, until kids get involved, until the elderly get involved, until men get involved, until absolutely everybody gets involved, so that those perceptions and those things that are like making us so scared or making people so hesitant to be open no longer exist. And secondly, men need to understand is like, the fact of the matter is, bro, like, what you're going through doesn't define you, and whatever you're going through does not take away from your capabilities of any role that you have.
For sure.
Being down, being sad doesn't stop you from being the best dad in the world.
Exactly. And that's a really big point, because it's like a lot of people think that by me being perceived that way, it's going to define me. It's like, I'm no longer capable anymore. And the truth about it is that when you start to have those thoughts in your head, constantly in your head, you start to believe it.
100%. And
which is like you said, it's so incorrect. It's not the case whatsoever. And until we have those kind of positive affirmations, we can reinforce ourselves. It's like, you know what? This is okay. This is just a moment in my life, which is fine. Doesn't define me. It's not who I'm going to be long term. And then let me start the next day fresh, or whatever it is that you may need to do. Then that's when I think, like you said, it's going to pick up a lot more.
100%, man. I feel like men also, like, as men, we're not honest, and we don't understand ourselves, first of all. And the reason why we don't understand ourselves is that we're not honest with ourselves. We might be the most honest people elsewhere, but we're not actually honest with ourselves. And I think it all comes down to, it wouldn't be an episode of Uncovered if I don't talk about self-awareness. Do you know what I mean? it really does come down to that, because if you're not able to actually be honest with yourself and really, really realize what's triggering you and why you're sad, you're not able to actually have those conversations. It's not possible. Do you get what I'm saying?
For sure. So maybe pose this other question to you then.
Sure.
If you not, because if we don't have someone that's team players in your sport,
Sure,
that's a different can of worms. How do you think we get there with getting yourself in a supportive network? Because we understand that social support is everything.
yeah, I think
it's everything,
of course, but I think it doesn't have to just be a friend. There's a lot of services and there's a lot of like organizations that do peer support, that come out and hang out with you, that come out and involve you in other groups. There's so many beautiful kind of organizations that are doing that stuff for mental health that are available. Getting you to that level is a bit harder, because what you need to do is you need to find one that sits well with you. And there's so many. Like there's some for CEOs, there's some for like founders of $10 million companies plus. There's some that for $100 million companies plus.
Yeah, what about the guys that aren't there?
I'm just giving you examples, like people that you wouldn't even think, like generally speaking, you wouldn't think would be having mental health issues. Like, oh, you own a $100 million business, like you should be sharp as fuck mentally.
Yeah,
there's groups for them.
Yeah,
there's groups of people that are everyday people. You can Google right now. There's like, there's the, what I mean? Like there's Man Cave. There's the Black Dog Institute.
Yep.
There's so many, Beyond Blue. There's so many organizations that do great stuff, and not on a massive level.
Yeah.
They also have small groups, small meetings. Church groups have a lot of men's group. There's so many organizations to do there. I think that we just need to empower men to be able to take that step. There's no secret step to get to that level of speaking to someone. It's empowerment.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think, you know what, like I really, really love that point that you just said about empowerment. I think that's so important, right? Because we got this kind of mentality that it's like, if you do that, it's like, these are like soft steps, or it's like, I'm degrading myself. But as soon as we can start empowering men, it's like, you know what, it's okay. Fucking go for it. You can do it.
It's not even just okay. Like, this is the thing, is like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's not just okay. And that's what I mean. It's like, I know that's not what you were trying to get at.
Yeah.
But I feel like we hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Because when I was struggling, I knew it was okay. I fucking know it's okay. Cool. It means nothing, but when you feel like you feel empowered when someone's really seen them, like, bro, fucking the moment you do this, that's when you're strong, bro.
Yeah.
That's when you've done this. That's when you've conquered this. And the moment that you really like, you know what, fucking, until I actually speak about this, I've actually fucking beat my depression. I beat my anxiety. Until I felt that, I was never gonna make that step.
100%. It's like kind of like, it's really like, it's so true when you say it's like the language that you use is so more important.
So
like
important.
Even just from you saying that, it's amazing, it's fantastic, by you doing this, you've actually accomplished X, Y, Z. It's like, oh fuck, I never really thought of it that way. And then you realize, like, you know what, I'm not stuff. I'm actually a beast.
I'm a fucking beast,
bro. And I think that, like, language is so important. Man. Having like languages that empower you, inspire you, want you to keep going, and really drive that inner ignition within you is game changing, bro.
110%. And like, bro, just to cut all the bullshit, bro. Cut all the fucking bullshit. Men's health is so important, particularly for me, right? And I know that you know a little bit about the story, but I don't think I've actually really sat there and told you the full story of what I went through, right? And the reason why it's so fucking big, and why mental health is a big thing for me, right, is, I won't go into the whole thing, but basically speaking, man, like, we have so many people that you would not even realize. You wouldn't even realize that are going through the darkest fucking times of their life, man. There was times where I would park my car up and really just think, fuck it, I'll go for a drive and whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Real shit. And I couldn't explain why at the time. I couldn't explain why, and I couldn't speak to anybody. I didn't have anybody. Like, in my head, I didn't think I had anyone that would understand. I would see people, like, and it would be like, sometimes it's because when you're in that state, you really do have like you have a woe is me perspective of like, nobody's going through shit as hard as me. or nobody will understand me. Nobody will get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I would look at my friends, and even though now that I'm a little bit older and wiser and been through it, I can understand they're probably going through their own shit. But at the time, I was like, these cunts have the best fucking lives, bro. They chill, they can do whatever they want. They've got this, they've got that. They're never sad. They're never angry. They're never blah, blah, blah. I was like, fuck, these cunts aren't going to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Exactly. And it's just like the exact same way that I kind of used to perceive you. Like I used to think like, oh, like, because sometimes we're actually like experts at like masking what's actually going on.
Men,
So
yeah, we are.
We're experts.
So good at it.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, nah, I have the best life. I'm this. It's so easy. It's like one of our big strengths, right? That we can do. And I think that, not to cut you off, but it's like what you said is like, it's so true, right? It's like we feel like no one else is gonna get me, no one is gonna stand me, so I don't want to do anything about it. I don't want to do anything about it. And I think like a big note that I kind of want to hit home with people is that trust me when I say, you'll be surprised how many men that you know within your circle are going through shit that's maybe not the exact same, but it's similar, and they can relate to it at some
110%.
At some point. And it's all about just taking that step and just really, even just testing that step.
Yeah.
And being like, fuck, and see what comes out of it.
110%. And it wasn't until I got that empowerment when I just fucking, one day I just fucking broke down to one of my boys, and then he had no fucking clue what was going on, but he's been through it and was still kind of going through it, but he was able to give me a lot of steps and be able to really, like I said, give me that empowerment piece of like, until you opening up and being real and being vulnerable with yourself and being able to have those conversations with yourself, you're a fucking weapon, man.
Yeah.
I swear to God, like, it's one of the, beyond everything, that's my proudest thing. And it's defined me as a person. And the difference has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable as me as a person, right? So I always like talk about this shit. It's like, bro, like, it's so important that we're really, really giving people the vehicle to be like, bro, you can, not even just that you can do this. You already know you can do it. But if you do decide to do it, you're an absolute fucking weapon.
Yeah.
Man. Like an absolute weapon. So anyway, back to my story. Long story short, long story short, shit was fucked.
Yeah.
And yeah, man,
you're gonna need to delve into that a lot more. Like, you gave people like I know we can't for time, but it's like,
no, I was literally about to round up and get to my point.
I know. Well, you didn't give me a chance to finish. I said I know you're gonna get to your point, but I just wanted to say, bro, like that story, you should go into it again for sure, like so people can really understand it. Because I think it's a powerful story. Like you kind of maybe undermine it, but for me, like when I found out that you were going through that shit, it's like that shit kind of empowered me myself. I'm like, fuck, like it's cool. Like it's not that it's cool, but it's like shit. Everybody goes through it. You know what I mean?
110%.
Like even the people that you're closest with, that you work with each other like level on level to try to compete and get there. You realize, fuck, they got their own battles too, and it's really empowering. Like it really is. And I think that from your story is like, if you were like, instead of like cutting it short, like actually have a time where you really explain and express it. Because I think a lot of men, like we were just saying, they all go through similar shit.
I would love to, man. I think that we can do story time one day.
Story time one time if they want it.
If you guys want it, I'll do a quick story time of it because it went for a while and it was fucking pretty intense. But yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. But like,
anyways, hit your point.
My point was with what you were saying about masking emotions. I think the big thing that men do, and I think that I've noticed that with a lot of particularly men our age, and I think men and especially particularly no, I'm just gonna say men our age. I think that men in general. Fuck it, men in general. Men in general have this habit of avoiding shit in the pretense of fake positivity, of fake kind of everything's okay. And I've noticed it's a thing that really fucking pisses me off. And like, not pisses me off, but it's just like, bro, like you can't do that. It's so dangerous. And it's something that I always bring up with you. And it's like, it's that kind of thing is like, something is clearly bothering the person, but they're like, nah, I don't give a fuck. I'm alright. I don't give a fuck. No. But that shit doesn't bother me now. Nah, it doesn't. I don't care. I'm alright. I'm just positive all the time. And I think that that's so dangerous because that's what I used to do. And that's why it became so heavy. became so heavy on me, and that's when I broke down. I realized that fuck, like that's not okay. Like shit is not okay, because even though I'm like for that moment I'm like I don't care. Your brain is learning, and you can't lie to your brain. You know that you is bothering you, and those toxic traits start to come out, and you start to act a particular way. So it's really important that if something is affecting you and bothering you, you allow it to kind of you allow yourself rather to understand that emotion and understand what's going on, so that you're able to deal with it. Because you can't deal with something that you avoid.
Yeah, 100%. I think with that though, like it's really important to like because I know you were bringing up that point is that we shake it off and say like it's okay. I think sometimes we do need to be a bit careful though, because I found out for myself, like when I always try to relate that something was an issue, for some reason it was playing bigger tricks in my head, that things that because I'm the type of person that I like to be quite logical. I like to be able to be like, if I'm feeling this way, it's got to be because of something, and I try to connect it to something that really isn't it all the time. Sometimes
Sure.
let me hear my point.
I just said sure.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, let me hear my point. I didn't say you said anything wrong.
Nick's been beefing with me all day, guys. I swear to God, you're gonna glisten. He's beefing me all day.
Bro, these guys looking for beef. I'm just chilling.
He's been beefing with me all day.
It's a seafood restaurant.
Go for it.
You know what I mean? I think, like, especially when it comes to supporting other people, I feel like, because there was a time where I used to be like, or I used to feel like it's like, oh, what's going on? And then you're like, nothing's going on. It's like, what's actually going on? And someone's like trying to get it out of you.
Sure.
But then sometimes it's like, bro, like nothing's actually bothering you. Maybe it's just that, oh, I'm tired, or that I'm this, or I'm that, whatever. And sometimes we try to make it deeper than what it is sometimes. And I guess the biggest thing that I just want to say is that like you said, like be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, from the other person's end, like just be quite, I don't know. It's a very gray area, but I think we still need to be very cautious with that as well.
I think it's just honesty. If something doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. But if something does bother you, allow it to understand.
That's for yourself at the individual level.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I can't tell you something bothers you. I can't tell, but like if someone is like showing signs that something is obviously bothering that person, like you can't, like let's say for example, someone's just got dumped by their girlfriend, found out their girlfriend was cheating has been cheating on them for half their relationship. Yeah. They come out, they fucking tear down the whole room, they're going crazy, yeah? And they're like, well, I'm okay. It's like shut up, cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
understand someone's baseline. Yeah.
Exactly. Obviously, that's an extreme. But what I'm getting at is that like there's obviously clear signs where like as a friend or someone that you know will be like, it doesn't seem like you, and it seems like something is bothering you based off historics of what something has bothered you, and this is what you present yourself as. But if you know for yourself for whatever reason, like something that should quote unquote bother you and it doesn't, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't bother you, great.
That's it. You're
resilient, cool, good on ya. But like if you know that it does bother you, then you need to actually take action and be aware of that.
Yeah.
That's the main point that I'm saying. It's not just people are like super fake deep, and they just like everything's like, oh my god, like this is the biggest deal ever.
That's what I was trying to say. It's like, my God, it's like cautious.
Yeah,
it's
like
not everything.
Not everything is the biggest deal, bro. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I tripped over a rock and I grazed my knee. I don't need to sit there and like self-reflect for 3 hours.
That fuck is the worst.
I'm just angry because I grazed my knee, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah. Nah, it's crazy.
100%.
It's crazy. But let's wrap it up though, because like we've gone a bit over.
How long have we been?
I reckon we went for like at least 40-50 minutes, but it's all right.
No, we didn't. We went for 37 minutes or so.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Oh well.
All right.
Anyways,
bye guys.
All right, guys. You know what to do.
Today was very, very raw. I think that we just kind of spoke about it. I think we'll definitely do this topic again. But there's just so much to it, and I just really wanted us to just have a bit more of a casual chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow us at Nick and Femi.
Like, comment, share. Like, comment, share. Leave your links in my bio.
What is this guy talking about? But
I'm an influencer.
You did an intro. I just did an outro, but
I'm an influencer, bro.
Okay, influence.
Let me influence you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for looking at and really checking out our Rode microphones. Rode is one of the best brands in the country. Anyway,
that's so boring. What a boring outro. Fuck me. All right, guys. Peace and love. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. Any learnings, please. leave a review, drop a comment, slide into our DMs. Would love to hear it. But aside from that, baby, peace and love. Another episode coming soon.
Yes, sir.